Alright guys, in this video we are going to discuss about the result and the performance of Berger Paint and Asian Paint. You probably know both of these companies are really good companies, and one of the companies that we hold in our portfolio, that is Asian Paint. This is just a comparison to understand how exactly these two companies are doing in the current scenario, and also what could be the future outlook and what could be the differential strategy both the companies are following. Without wasting any time, let us dive in. What you see on the screen, this is the quarterly result of Berger Paint and Asian Paint that you can see in the screen. First, let us discuss about the result of Berger Paint. Now you can see the quarterly result of Berger Paint for Q4 FY22. You see it over here, and the same quarter last year, which is Q4 FY21, you see it here. When we compare these two, this is year on year changes that we see over here, and this is two consecutive quarter. That means right now this is quarter 4 FY22 and the last quarter was quarter 3 FY22. So when we compare just this two quarter, we will get to know what is the quarter on quarter performance of Berger Paint. If we just check this summary, we get to see that year on year there is a revenue growth of 8% Berger Paint has got, and the expenses in this time has gone up by 9%. And in the same period, if we see what is the profitability, we see there is a 6% jump in the profit. The same thing if we compare with quarter on quarter, that means this quarter and just the previous quarter, we see the revenue has dropped by 14% and the expenses has also dropped by 14%. In this period, the PAT, which is the profit has also dropped by 13%. So we see quarter on quarter basis, Berger Paint is down by 14% in terms of revenue and the expenses, and in the profit 13%. Now we'll keep this number in mind when we will discuss about Asian Paint's result. Now let us move to the Asian Paint quarterly result. In the same format, we will compare the result of Asian Paint. Year on year, we see 19% change in revenue. In the same period, expenses has gone up by 20%, and in this time, the profit has gone up by 7% year on year basis. That means current year, this quarter versus last year, same quarter. Then moving to quarter on quarter, we see 7% drop in revenue, 8% drop in expenses and 10% drop in profit. Now we will compare these two results. If we see quarter on quarter basis, Asian Paint drop in the revenue is much smaller than Berger Paint. In terms of profit also, 13% drop we have seen in the quarter on quarter basis for Berger Paint. What we see in the Asian Paint, the drop is much smaller, which is 10%. So both the company has performed poorly as compared to the last quarter, but comparing with the last year same quarter, we see the revenue has gone up more for Asian Paint, which is 19% as compared to 8% for Berger Paint. Expenses has also gone up a lot for Asian Paint, which is 20% for Asian Paint and 9% for Berger Paint. And profitability also for Asian Paint, it has gone up by 7% as compared to Berger Paint, which is up by only 6%. So if we see just on the quarter on quarter basis, we can understand the profitability of Asian Paint and the revenue growth of Asian Paint is much better than Berger Paint. Not only that, here if we see the revenue has gone up a lot higher than Berger Paint. That means Asian Paint is gaining market share. That means the rate at which Asian Paint is growing, it is much higher than Berger Paint. And on just a quarter on quarter basis, we see a little bit of increase in the profitability for Asian Paint. So by looking at the quarterly result, one thing is very clear, that Asian Paint is growing by volume a lot. In this time, the profitability is also growing. As compared to the Berger Paint, it is doing better. Now this is just on the quarter on quarter basis. We need to check whole year result of Asian Paint, and then we can compare it to understand yearly performance. So now let us go to the yearly performance. Here you get to see the yearly performance of Berger Paint and Asian Paint. Here you get to see FY22, the performance of Berger Paint here, and FY21 performance over here. So when we check the Berger Paint performance, the revenue we see it has gone up by 28%. Expenses has also gone up more than the revenue growth. The expenses has gone up by 31%. Because of that, profit has gone up by 16%. So this is when we compare full year performance of FY22 with the full year performance of FY21. The same thing when we check for Asian Paint, we get to see that the revenue has gone up by 34%. The expenses has also gone up by 42%. And if we compare the profit of Asian Paint of FY22 with FY21, we see there is a drop in profit. Now let us compare the growth in the revenue and the expenses and also the profitability. First of all, let us focus on the revenue growth. Berger Paint has grown by 28% when the Asian Paint has grown by 34% on year-on-year basis. In this year, that means FY22, the profit of Berger Paint has gone up as compared to the previous year, but for Asian Paint, the profit of the company has gone down by 11% yearly basis. So when we compare the full year performance, Berger Paint stands better, but here are some important points we need to look at. We have seen that the quarter-on-quarter basis Asian Paint revenue growth, it is much higher than Berger Paint. In the yearly performance also we have seen the same thing. Revenue of Asian Paint is growing a lot than Berger Paint. Even though the size of Asian Paint is lot bigger than Berger Paint, still the revenue growth for Asian Paint is happening at a much more rapid pace. So size is not that big concern for Asian Paint. It is still going for the volume growth. Profitability, there is a concern in Asian Paint. We have to take a close look which company is going to sustain their profitability in the long term. You have understood that how these two paint companies are performing in the current business condition. I hope you find this comparison helpful. That's all for today. I'll catch you up with a new video. Take care. Bye.